Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Rich Savino. And you know what? Let's bring him on down. How you doing today, Rich?
Good, Marques. How are you today?
I'm doing well, my friend. Rich, first question, sir. What does the word authentic/authenticity mean to you?
Great question and great word, by the way. So, you look this word up and you look at the definition and you go through it, and quite frankly, it stands right out, right? So to me, being authentic, genuine, original, trustworthy. However, I think when you sum it up, it's about you being the best you can be, right? People need to believe in you, they need to understand you, and they need to feel comfortable when you're speaking to them about something so that there's a common bond and trust so that people can see you as the person you are. No different than the first time I actually saw you on stage, Marques, and you were speaking, and I'm sitting there, and through my time, through my career, I've listened to lots of wonderful speakers. But after you and I spoke, after that presentation, I said to you, what, we connected. You know why? Because when you got up there, you were real. You were very authentic about yourself. You spoke from the heart. So when people speak from the heart, the people receiving that conversation very much are interested and very much believe what you have to offer them.
Love that. Ladies and gentlemen, when you speak from the heart, people are much more likely to say, yes, this is someone I want to get behind, I can believe in, and I can have trust in. Great points, Rich. So, Rich, please tell our global audience a little bit more about the work you do for the amazing company that we do a lot of business for, Trucordia.
So for those who want to be, and I always joke around, right? You want to clear a room, let people know you're in the insurance business. However, when you really break it down and you look at what we do, we're here to protect people's assets. And honestly, it's not about can I sell you the least expensive coverage and this guy's less expensive than that lady is, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure we're doing the right thing to protect someone's assets and what they have, right? It's not a perfect world, and insurance isn't designed to step up in every situation. However, if you procure the right insurance program and you pay attention to the details and you ask the right questions and you have a receptive audience, meaning some people don't care. They just give me the cheapest thing. I don't really care. At the end of the day, listening to a good insurance professional, procuring the right coverage is going to give you the best opportunity to protect what you have.
Love it. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm hearing Rich say is it's about protecting your assets. It's about finding people that can help you maintain and have a fiduciary responsibility to protect you from a financial perspective, an asset perspective, just the overall business perspective, right? And I think that's huge. And again, right, Rich, a lot of people don't think about insurance until you're like, oh my goodness gracious, I need insurance. So, so it's like you always want to have that forward thinking process, right? So I always tell people, and seriously, you want to always be forward thinking, because the right insurance person is like your shield to protect you and keep you safe when bad things happen. So, Rich, I've had the pleasure of meeting Felix Morgan. I had the pleasure of being interviewed by Michael Moran and Leanne out in Linden, Utah, and it was absolutely sensational in every level. So, here's my question. When it comes to the work that you're doing, right, my friend, how are you setting yourself up, and how would you tell younger people in the insurance business, right, Rich, what they need to do to set themselves up for long-term success?
Marques, that's a very good question, and it's a loaded question. And I think I'm going to respond to it almost like a politician and say to you that, one of the things, this industry is fascinating to me. It has always been fascinating to me. And I I hate to say that I've actually been in this industry before there was even computers, right? This was a relationship business that has gone full circle. However, at the end of the day, a couple of things that really matter, especially for someone who's younger is looking to get into this business. One is you have to find the right mentor. That is very, very important. I don't care whether you're an athlete or you're an insurance person or whatever you may do, those people that have been down the path before you, if they are the right kind of mentor, they're going to help make you. If you're smart enough to listen to them, right? And if you believe in them and they believe in you. One of the things that did happen, and it's very strange. It's not strange. We've spoken about this, not you and I, but just a few of my cohorts and myself. This isn't a sexy business, right? If you think about this, people came after World War II. This business kind of exploded, and populated, and then of course we had the old adage of the life insurance salesman wearing plaid pants and almost likened to be sleazier than a used car salesman. And not saying that they are, because I have lots of friends in the auto business, so I don't want to offend anybody. But more or less to the extent that this business came full circle and became a profession. And quite honestly, especially in a business scenario, and a proper insurance broker, agent, or whatever you want to say, to a business is really part of a three-legged stool, right? You have your accountant, your attorney, and your insurance person, and all those people need to coordinate. So once a younger person comes into this industry and understands this isn't about just trying to hit the easy button, be the least expensive one. Look, I won. I'm 10% cheaper. Well, did you win? Did you check all those boxes? You know, this isn't about easy. This is about right. And I think that part of the challenge in this industry is that since it wasn't a sexy business, when when the dot-com boom came along, it drew a lot of the younger population into that field as opposed to something like insurance because it paid more. It was a sexier business, and people had a trajectory that they weren't going to get instantly in the insurance business. So what we did is we ended up with a gap, right? We ended up with a gap from those people, for instance, people that would have been mentors to me, and then a gap between the newer generation that's coming in that's found insurance again, and the generation that was sort of lost in terms of time, right? So I'm finding that as we move forward, it seems that those that are newer to coming into the business are starting to be more interested in things like consultative selling and the bigger picture, going back to my first comment, that fiduciary responsibility to protect someone's assets. This isn't about fill out an application online, hit a button, you're good to go. Thank you very much. I made my commission. This is about understanding the fact that people who are procuring insurance are procuring it so that if something goes wrong, that they can be whole or as whole as possible. I'll share with you. I was out, as you know, I'm a avid cyclist, and I was out the other morning on a ride with a couple of my buddies. We're all sitting having coffee, and they started talking about insurance. One of the guys was saying that he just bought his auto policy and his home, and we're talking. Of course, it's kind of like I'm their buddy. I'm in the insurance business. I never solicit friends, by the way, for any stuff. They want to come to me, and I'm listening to them go back and forth, and I go to them, you're missing this. And they both looked at me and they go, "What do you mean?" And I go, "Well, both you guys are retired. You got a couple you got a couple dollars in the bank here, and you're buying $300,000 worth of liability on your home. Why? Why so little? Did somebody actually explain to you for literally minimal money you can move it to five, and for not much more money you can? Because what happens if you get in an auto accident out there or somebody slips and falls at your house?" And they're like, "Oh, we never thought about this." The person I spoke to never even brought this up, right? So when you boil this down to even individuals, what it shows to me is that still sometimes the core value of what this business is about, and which is very dear to me, that fiduciary responsibility, gets lost. It gets lost in the money shuffle, right? So, what I can suggest to any younger person who wants to get involved in this, find the right mentor, Understand what it's about to be into consultative selling, and understand that you bring a value to the table that's a big value, because the power of making someone whole after a claim is probably one of the most incredible experiences that you're going to have. Not because you're happy that someone had a bad day, but because when they did have a bad day, you can make them whole again. You could take care of that family that lost a house because of a fire, or that business that had a problem because something crazy happened, like a fire, or a liability situation that could have taken them out of business. Um, it's a very powerful and meaningful feeling.
You know, Rich, I wrote something down about helping people become whole when bad things happen. And again, it's not about being happy that people had a bad day. It's not.
No.
It's about feeling that sense of accomplishment, that you're able to help people when they needed you and take care of them in their biggest and darkest time. Because I remember
Correct.
going through that, right, Rich, when I had a break in at my office where company trucks were stolen and things were vandalized and the computers were stolen. It was a horrible experience. And
Right.
I had a good person to help me with that process to get everything
Right.
back on track. But again, it's big. And so, Rich, I was out with, Michael and Leanne doing a big project, the producer performance series. And
Right.
I loved working with Michael and Leanne and all these amazing people, and really looking to get some things going around, mindset and capabilities, all this type of stuff. But we were really touching a lot on this premise, okay, Rich? Mindset, the right mindset creates action.
Correct.
Action being taken, the right action with intention creates revenue. Can you explain, Rich, from your expert, position, your expertise in the industry, talking to people, but this not in insurance, right? But all industries, how you have to have the right mindset to take action, and then taking the right action with intention and taking care of people can lead you to more and more consistent revenue.
Yes. Again, loaded question, but a good one. Thank you for that. So, the best way to do this is just tell a little story. We are brought into an account that had been with a very competitive insurer that is sort of a semi-direct writer, meaning they have a limited agent force. And the producer that originally brought this account into us said, "Hey, can we compete with this?" So my first question is, well, what's the coverage look like? I never look at the price. I could care less what the price is. So we start going through this, and we start seeing that many little details were missed. I mean, game-changing details. So we meet with the client and we sit down with them. And I usually start off by asking three questions to people. And I'd say, Marques, just so I can get a little temperature reading on where you are, which one of these three are most important to you? Price, coverage, or service? I need to know which one of those are there. Now, no matter what answer you give me, I'm going to have follow-up questions to those things. And I'm always going to bring it back to the thing that matters most, which is coverage, okay? However, in this particular case, they said, oh, no, the price. Well, that's the obvious one. That's what most people do. So the follow-up became saying to them, well, look, if we pointed out to you many inadequacies in your program that could create you financial harm, would that price matter anymore? And they got very curious. And they go, what are you talking about? Well, Marques, these people were paying about $350,000 in premium before we spoke to them. If I tell you they pay close to $700,000 in premium now with us, I'm not kidding you. And this falls to what you're saying, because when we walked in that room, we literally said to them, look, we're here to do this right. And if we can't do this right, we can't work with you. There's the intent, right? That intent was taken very seriously because of the fact, and it came up afterwards by the owner back to us. No one ever said that they were willing to walk away from our account if we didn't take their advice. And they respected that because, unfortunately, most consumers, and you were on the other side of the fence, right? You had a sizable construction company. People were pounding on your door every day, every week, every month. And if I had to ask you what became the differentiator, I have a funny feeling at the end of the day, it wasn't the price. It was the person who came in that made you believe that they had your back. And the rest of it was noise. And that's what this comes down to. Because if you do the right job and you do it with intent and you're able to substantiate your suggestions and why something should cost something, the rest of it is simple. You never have to ask for the close. They're ready to go.
You know what, Rich? How about this? When you do things the way that you, Keith, Chris Paradiso, Mick Hunt, Daniel Song, Felix
Some big
Ford,
names
Michael
there.
Moran, I could go on, I could go on and on and on and on, right? When people do things the way that you all do them, right, Rich? You know what happens? You don't just close a sale, you open a relationship.
Thank you.
That's
what it is.
Everything. And Rich, here's my last question. Please tell our audience, in your opinion, what makes Trucordia so special. Because in my opinion, what I see is a company that is aligned around its mission of putting others first and being a servant type of leader and giving the clients everything they need right there so they don't have any question and or hesitation.
That's the greatest answer. That's what I was going to tell you, but I'm gonna throw one word at it: care. Okay, if you look at our tenets that we have established in terms of a firm, right? The things that we believe in, our core values. The first word is care. And care needs to bleed through from the top straight down to the bottom, and it needs to bleed out to the employees, and it needs to bleed out to our insurance carriers. It needs to come straight through. And in my career, which has spanned a very long time now, not embarrassed to say, but if I told you I'm over 45 years in this business, I've kind of seen it all. The one word that stands out and that I have seen and what makes people stand the test of time is when they show they care. Anybody can be indifferent, but caring matters. It matters to the people that work for you and with you. It matters to the clients when they know that you care, because if you look at some polls in this industry or just research in this industry, it'll always suggest that people don't leave for less money. People leave because of indifference. And I'm not talking about employees, I'm talking about clients. Okay. So when you show you care and when you are that person in that definition of a professional and people feel the love, it develops the trust. And as long as you don't leave and blow that trust, you have a client for a long, long time. And to be honest with you, this is one of the things that's very special about Trucordia, because I really feel from the top down, from Felix all the way through, that word care really stands out.
You know what, my friend? I have lived it, I have seen it, and I am so blessed to call you a friend, Felix a friend, clients. It's amazing. So, again, love that. Rich, fantastic interview, great insight. Again, if people want to get in touch with you, right, Rich, how do they go about doing that?
Well, they can email me at richard.savino@trucordia.com. That's probably the best way to do that. Obviously, they can get in contact with you if it's, otherwise, you know how to reach me. But the email would probably be the best way to do that. Or they could reach out to me on LinkedIn, for that matter. That's another way that people can do that. Anyway, I'm always happy to help those that are interested either in learning more about this industry or that are in this industry and need some advice. I'm always happy to, play it forward, right?
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, connect with Rich. Great guy, great insight. And the authentic tip of this great interview: in life, in business, show you care. When you care about others, everything else takes care of itself. Focus on the output, the action taking care of others, the outcome will take care of itself.
Love it.
Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.
Marques, thanks for having me.
You are awesome.
All right. Take care.
Rich, this is great.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, Rich, you're gonna get an email from Apple, but I'm gonna send a group text, Rich, between me, you, and my partner Nathan Poole.
Okay.
I want to connect us because I was out with Michael and the team in Linden, and they were talking about they use Salesforce, and I want to show you all what we're building for clients that helps. It's Salesforce, Go High Level, Trello, all in one location. It's been customized to help you all with tracking leads, KPI. I mean, it's amazing. So I'm gonna send a group text between me and my partner Nathan. We'll give you a demonstration of our prototype. We can kind of work our way up the chain from there. I want you to see it first.
I appreciate that, Marques. Thanks again for having me, giving me this opportunity. It's awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. All right, you stay well.
You too. I'll see the
Are you going to be? Are you coming out to any of our meetings that are coming up?
Yeah, I have a couple more coming out. Yes, sir.
When are you coming out?
I'm getting with Leslie to talk about all the dates and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the week.
Okay, perfect. Good. Look forward to seeing you again. All right, stay well, man. Thanks, Marques.
I'll send a group text in a little bit.
Thanks. All right, take care.
Ben? 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 No, we got one more. He's another one having trouble with log.